Hey, welcome to another video from SkinnyMedic. I'm here with Tim with Old Grouch, and we're going to show you a cool new product he's going to bring to you guys.
That's right, we got our new ponchos. This is going to be the best poncho you've ever seen, and I'll go down and break down all the stuff we've done to make this the best American-made poncho on the market. Okay, I'm going to give you a little background here. This story starts a long time ago, 25 years ago when we opened the store. We could always get good American-made ponchos. They were all over the place, good quality, and anybody that spent any time in the military knows how versatile a poncho is. It's not only rain gear, but you can make it into a shelter, you can make it into a poncho raft, you can do everything with it. So it's a must-have piece of kit for every hunter, every prepper, every soldier, you name it, they need a poncho. Then the imports started killing the market. We couldn't find anybody making American-made ponchos, and I went years without a good American-made poncho. Finally, 2 years ago, I found a place. Great ponchos. Had a little trouble keeping up with production, but they did them for us. 6 months ago, I get the notice they're not going to make ponchos anymore. Ponchos were too much labor, took too much effort, and they were trying to stay under 50 employees. So, I set out to make ponchos. And in the process, I got an education. One of the things I learned is, it's more complex than you might think. This right here is the mil-spec for a poncho, and that doesn't even get into the mil-specs for each kind of material and webbing. That's my well coffee stained, dog-eared done copy. So first thing I did was find that. Next thing I did was go seek manufacturers. Talked to 5 different ones. 2 of them got me samples. 1 of them I was really happy with, and she gave me an education too and showed me all the things we could do to make the poncho even better than anything on the market, even better than a mil-spec. And we've got several things we've done, and we've come out with what is the first, and hopefully our long line of amazing, better than mil-spec military ponchos. And I'll show you some of the things we've done and talk you through how some of it works. First thing we did was redesign the hood. Regular military poncho is made from, the hood is 2 pieces with the seam all the way down. Instead of that, this starts life as 1 piece, and across the top there's no seam. Then down the back, you split it and join it for a better seam. On the inside, it is sewn, and then an extra layer of binding is over it. None of our seams are seam sealed from the factory. My testing shows you don't need it. If you do want it, I recommend Magnet Seam Sealer. You can take it and put it over it, let it dry about 48 hours being held open. But as I said, my testing has shown it's not necessary. We changed the way this hood is sewn on. Same thing. We made it less complex. We eliminated the need for the wide layers of banding and wide layers of sealing that if anybody has had a poncho for a number of years, you know that stuff starts to peel off eventually. Much simpler. As a result also, that is thinner, and when you go to fold up your poncho to pack it or take it down, it takes up a lot less space. Next thing we did, mil-spec poncho has ties in it. There are grommets in there and a little drawstring. And what's the first thing everybody always did when they got a poncho? They ripped that out of there. Because if you put this poncho on and you've got gear on of any kind, the minute you got to take it off, that silly drawstring is going to pick up on you. So we got rid of that for several reasons. Number one, that drawstring had to be sewn onto the fabric. That creates a weak point, creates a failure point, and to do it right, you had to seam seal it. That created more of that ugly seam sealer that would come off. So since nobody ever used it, we got rid of it. The military poncho curved at the bottom. Nobody can explain why, but it was. We got rid of that. Because when you're hooking 2 or more of them together, curve doesn't make sense. Square makes sense. It's also stronger, it makes it easier to lay out. A lot of the quality of your poncho and the strength comes in the hem. If you see cheap imported ponchos, all they ever do is fold over the fabric and put the buttons, the snaps through and put the grommets through. What happens then? This is good high strength 70 denier nylon fabric we've used, but it's not made to hold that. So boom, it pulls out. Grommets, same thing. The mil-spec calls for cotton canvas cloth that is at least 75-pound test. Not even made into a ribbing. They can just slice it to be put in there. But that's problematic for a couple reasons. Number one, eventually, even though they treat that cotton canvas, eventually that treatment's going to go away. It's going to rot. Number two, cotton, even treated, is going to wick moisture and draw it in. So we did away with that. Inside the hem is this 500-pound test gross grain webbing. We chose the gross grain because it's extremely flexible. You won't even know there's a 500-pound test webbing in there. Now, of course, you're not going to get a full 500 pounds out of it if you try to hold something up with it, because there is sewing through it, there are grommets through it, but you're not going to rip these out. On the same lines, these grommets are spur grommets instead of washer grommets. The mil-spec called for washer grommets. Your cheaper imports all use washer grommets. A spur grommet has little teeth that dig through the fabric and then dig up into the other piece when it's compressed down, much stronger. On the snaps, your cheaper ponchos will only have a single-sided. That means you can't snap them together for a shelter unless you flip one of them upside down. Your mil-spec calls for a brass snap. However, the military is transitioning to these new, heavier-duty plastic snaps made by YKK. That's what we went with. We found they're stronger. They will still snap to the mil-spec snaps, but they're lighter, they hold better, and they will not corrode. Eventually your brass ones, enough years, especially if it gets put up wet, there will be some corrosion because you can't keep it all coated all the time. It also makes it lighter. This is the same snap that the Marines are using on their field tarp that they've been issuing in Marpad, if you've seen it. We've changed the quality of the sewing some. You can see on here the mil-spec one, the way it's sewn over, or ours, the way it's done over. And I will show you on an actual military issue one, rough edges, not sewn nearly as nice. And you can see in this actual military issue one, they just cut it. Cloth, that's not even real webbing in there for the reinforcement. Because of the changes we made, this poncho is lighter than the standard military one, while being stronger. It folds up smaller, and carrying it for every use, from rain protection, from an emergency shelter to anything else, it'll do the job. There are two sizes of ponchos that the military has, the Type 1 and Type 2. This is made to the Type 2 size, which means it's a 60 by 82. We are going to, down the road, make a hybrid that's going to be a 60 by 92, and we may even go with a custom longer one if there are enough requests from you tall folks that want them. We will still keep our snap spacing the same, but just add snaps so that way you can hook the shorter ones and the longer ones together. Make shelters if you've got two people. All in all, we had the choice. We could have set out and done a just good enough American poncho, or we could have done the best poncho you'll ever buy. We decided to do the best poncho you'll ever buy. Get one, you won't be disappointed. And you can find these www.oldgrouch.com at our website, or come to our store, 82 Main Street in Clyde, North Carolina. And I know the question everybody's going to ask, what about other colors? It's coming, folks. It's going to be down the road, and it'll depend on fabric availability, trademark issues, and some other stuff. For now, it's going to be woodland, and just stay tuned on the rest, but don't miss out on these.
Thank you guys for watching. You never know when you'll be the first responder. Remember, you need the right gear and the right training.
Do you need Nimrod?
Huh?
You need Nimrod?
I'll need him next for the pack cover one.
Thank you.
What, Chris?
Yeah.
Do, do, do.